Hey, what's up guys, it's Hayden.
Hey, and I'm Emma. Welcome back to our channel. Thank you for tuning in once again. Today we've got another film review for you. It is a Stan original Australian film, actually, a horror thriller. It was called Relic.
So Relic follows a mother and daughter who go to visit their grandmother who has inexplicably disappeared. She's also suffering from dementia, which only makes matters worse. Now, on their visit, they discover that her home is being haunted by an evil entity, and they need to find out what it is. So this is an Australian co-produced film with the US. I think Jake Gyllenhaal might have even had an executive producer credit with this one.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal was one of the producers as well, so that was cool.
Yeah, that was very cool. And look, I think this is a great representation of what we can do, not only with Australian cinema, but Australian horror. Like, I think we do some great horror.
Yeah.
Wolf Creek, Saw. I mean, I don't care what you say. I know it was produced in the States, but Saw, those are our boys. They're our boys.
The original one, at least.
Yeah. And The Babadook, which this film does get compared to a little bit.
Yeah. And actually, straight away from the opening scene of this movie, I immediately got vibes of The Babadook. So I kind of had high expectations for it then, because The Babadook is one of my all-time favorite horror films.
I'm gonna set the bar.
And it was interesting to learn that there were quite a lot of people comparing it to that movie. So I wasn't alone in that thinking. I don't know if it's the cinematography or the whole atmosphere. There's just a few elements that really give off.
Well, Relic had a really nice, soft film-looking cinematography.
Very much like The Babadook.
Yeah, gorgeously shot, like fantastically shot. And it was quite, grim and dark, like all good horror films should be. And I think that just helped build the atmosphere and the tension and that sense of dread. And I think that's where it kind of finds its similarities with The Babadook, because The Babadook did that really well.
Yeah. And I think because it also had a very strong female cast that I just love watching them on screen. I don't think I've seen these girls in much, but they were a very solid cast. And I think the issue I have with a lot of Australian productions, and I've probably said this in previous videos, is I really do struggle with listening to the Australian accent on camera.
It's a rough accent. It is. It doesn't translate well to film.
Yeah, look, it's a bit hit and miss for me. So I was also going into this a bit, ready to cringe, because I do find our accent very cringy, but I didn't cringe in this. I actually loved these three actresses. Is Emily Mortimer, we had Bella Heathcote, and Robyn Nevin, who played the grandmother. They were a very strong cast. And thankfully the accents didn't throw me at all. I think they were all very organic in their acting, very natural. The grandmother was very creepy at times.
Yeah, she did well, because she had to kind of ride that line between nice, innocent, sweet grandmother and almost like this creepy, possessed being.
Yeah.
Which is not easy to do. It's like that split personality thing. And they kind of tie that in with the dementia a little bit, which was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, she had to kind of ride that line a little bit and play both of those roles. I think she did an amazing job of that.
Yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed all of their performances. And also just while it had elements of some other horror films we've seen, it was still a very original story. So
yeah, I don't remember a film that kind of touched on dementia and how dementia affects a family quite like this did. And this movie is a bit of a metaphor for that, about how dementia affects the family. And they do tie that quite a lot into what happens to the family and how this entity operates. And I'm trying not to spoil too much. But yeah, I love how they do that. And I love how that ties into the ending as well and how it kind of wraps up. It's not your typical ending, and it's not your typical horror film either. Like, I think it subverts a lot of expectations, and it doesn't rely on cheap jump scares or anything like that. It's a bit of a slow burner, but in a good way. It builds that tension, builds that atmosphere, builds that sense of dread, and it doesn't rely on cliches. It relies on that tension.
It has a bit
and
of
that atmosphere, and then it just builds and builds and builds, and then you think it's going one way, and then nope, it's going to go another way, and then that ending, you're just going, what the hell? And it just works. It just works. I love a film that can be original and dares to do something different.
Yeah, it was the type of horror where, a little bit like The Haunting of Hill House, if you've seen that on Netflix at all, the entity or whatever you want to call this thing that's haunting the house, it's they subtly place it throughout the movie. So it's a film that you've got to kind of keep
Pay
your eyes,
attention to.
keep your eyes peeled. There was a few times where, you just.
I was wondering,
Happen
like,
to look
right
in
at the beginning, I think that you picked up, and I'm like, what, when? I had to like rewind it. Like, this is like, what, 2 minutes into the film. Yeah.
Yeah, so keep your eyes peeled because they're very sneaky in their placement. But I love that. I love movies that keep you, looking in the background as well as.
I think that's great horrors do that. They
Yeah.
they utilize shadows, they utilize the corners of the room, and they make the audience have to look into the corners of the room and have their eyes kind of adjust to the darkness. And is there something there? Isn't there something there? What's going on?
Yeah.
I think great horror films use those shadows to their advantage. So I think this film did a great job of that. Great job of building an atmosphere, creating that sense of just that creepiness and eeriness throughout, and that sense of dread.
Yeah, so a lot to love with this one. Gorgeous cinematography, as we said, fantastic acting, solid writing and directing, and I won't spoil anything, but an ending that is gonna make you go, what the hell?
Yep.
A pretty disturbing ending, and I think it's up for interpretation there.
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
I think so, yeah. And I think, again, that ending kind of ties in the whole metaphor of dementia and how it affects the family. And it kind of wraps that message up in a nice little demented, creepy bow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
We were just
ending.
watching going, what? No, don't. Oh my gosh, they're doing it. Oh my God.
Yeah, certainly nothing we've seen before.
Yep.
But I highly recommend this one. We really enjoyed it. Definitely worthy of your time. So give it a watch, guys. It's on Stan in Australia, and it's a Stan original.
Yeah, so that'll wrap up this one. So if you like what we do, slam that like button, subscribe to our channel for more. Hit the bell for the notifications if you want to see what's coming up next. But most importantly of all, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
See you later.